for humorous and one for serious. As you'll see, Connor's a humorist. Although Connor is only a freshman, I can't really call him a rookie. He came to our team this year with a lot of experience from middle school, even competing at the middle school national tournament. Connor's also qualified for the high school national tournament this year with his selection, and he'll be competing in Sacramento over Memorial Weekend. So we wish him the best. Connor was a force this year. He attended every tournament and double entered each time. Occasionally, he even triple entered, competing in 3 categories at a single tournament. This performance earned him 6th place at state, which is a remarkable accomplishment for anyone, let alone a freshman. Right? Performing Snappy's Happy Half Hour. Here is Connor Quaintance.
Well, kids, it's about that time.
Oh, no!
I'm afraid so. It's time to go. But remember, kids, you can always find us if you use your imagination. Booba! That's right, Booba.
Oh, no! Henry the Mime was caught in a box again.
Booba! Children's television shows are full of maniacally happy characters. But what happens when the producer wants a new cast? A cast of cast-offs and wannabes, stuck behind the camera. The show must go on in Snappy's Happy Half Hour by Don Zelitis.
And cut.
Why, like that was my fault? Yes. Where were you during the hug song, huh? Oh, you don't need me on the hug song. It's in the script, you moron. You know what? I am sick of this. I come to work, I do my job, I know my lines. What? All you say is booba. How hard is that? You know what? I'm a little sick of your attitude. I bring a lot to the table here.
Guys, enough, okay? That was just a dress rehearsal. We've had plenty of bad dress rehearsals before. I have a confession to make. The producers are watching today.
Everyone sit. Kid, what's your name?
Spencer.
Let me tell you what I thought when I was watching this show. I thought, that kid over there, that's not a smile. That kid's not happy.
But I was smiling.
Shut up! Let me give you a little advice. You want to get fired? Say something again. Now, when you're on stage, you are never to stop smiling. I don't care if someone hammers a nail into your foot. You are never to stop smiling. Tell you what, you got a grandma? Good. I'm gonna find your grandma and I'm gonna go up to her and I'm gonna say, "Hi, my name's Luca. I'm the producer of this TV show your grandson is on." And she's gonna say, "Oh, that's sweet." I'm gonna say, "Yeah, we're sweet." But he didn't smile enough. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna shoot you in the face. Blam! Get grandma. Got it? Stop smiling, dead grandma. Now let's see that smile. Good. Now you. What's your name, Henry? It's pronounced Henri. Okay, cast. We need a new mime because this guy is the worst mime I have ever seen in my life. When I see you do mime, it's like someone is grabbing my intestines. and pulling them out of my mouth. Okay, you're fired. Oh, you think you can find a better mind than me? Oh, look at this miming action. Oh, look, the rope. Oh, I'm going to pull the rope. Sucker, I am out of here. Thank you. I hated that guy. Shut up! I'm the one that makes the decisions around here. Now, I've decided to make a couple changes to this show. Some corporate sponsorship. Everyone be a news play buddy, Ruffles the dog. Ruffles! Talk to no one, got it? Now we got a theme with Ruffles. He loves potato chips. Every week, we're gonna be selling a new kind of potato chip. Today, it's gonna be sour cream and onion. I swear I can find 6 bones off the street that can do a better job than you. Do it then! I quit! Too late! You're fired! But I just quit. Well, I fired you like 5 minutes ago. You know what? This is ridiculous. I played Hamilton College. I don't need this. I don't need you! Go rot! And I saw that show. You were predictable and you got a funny nose.
Luke, we go live in 15 minutes.
So?
Well, we can't really do a show without any actors.
I'm still here.
Well, we have Spencer.
So, unless you want to get fired like everyone else, you're gonna make this work.
Okay. I need someone to play the part of Snappy the Happy Clown.
I could play Snappy the Happy Clown.
Who are you?
I am Drew. I am the key grip.
What does the key grip do anyway?
I am in charge of the other grip. But do not worry. I watch the show every day. And it is like I can do monologues in the shower, and it is like tears are streaming down my face. You know, I am just so amazed at how good I am.
Okay. Now I need someone to play the part of Henry the Mime. Tank.
Not gonna happen.
No. Everyone has to play a part. Got it?
But I hate mimes.
Everyone hates mimes. It's what makes us American. You see a mime when you're walking down the street and you spit at them. Makes you feel patriotic, you know.
Fine, I'll do it for my country.
Okay, we go live in 5, 4.
Stop the cameras! What is wrong with you people?
The show is over. My career's ruined. We're all fired.
So I watched the show. And can I just say, if I could torture you, like a real medieval torture, where I take a metal spike and twist it into you and just... That's how I'm feeling right now. And where's that kid?
I smiled the whole time.
No, you didn't. I'm gonna find your grandma and shoot her in the face. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry.
Well, I think we're ready for our radio broadcaster. I wonder if our radio broadcaster is ready for us. Should have been back.
Maybe he really did leave.
He is on his way. All right. Excellent.
could tell them how they normally face
Yeah.
non-audience,
Yeah.
and there's no.
So, as our radio speaker makes his way back in here, keep in mind that everything you're about to hear, the news, the sports, the weather, the commercial, it all came from today's newspaper, which he's never seen before, right? So he just put this together, and part of the challenge of the category is there's really no consideration given to visual presentation, right? We're supposed to imagine that we're just hearing the voice on the radio. So even, got a little extra paper there. So he even sits in profile to the judge.
Yeah, you're not supposed to see me.
There you go. Let me tell you a little story about Connor. His first tournament, he didn't make it to finals. And this was only just across town at Appleton East. And I told him, hey, if you wanna head on home, you're certainly welcome to do that. And he said, no, I want to stick around. I want to watch finals. I want to learn from my competitors. And that really paid off for him. He took away some important advice from that. And the next tournament, he did make finals, and he placed second. And the week after that, he placed first. So he is an excellent example of work ethic paying off, right? And so very proud of him, very glad to have him on the team. One more thing I'll say about this category. The radio business, as you know, is dictated by airtime. The news can't go short because then you're broadcasting dead air, and it can't go long because then you're talking over the regularly scheduled program. So part of the challenge to the radio speaker is finishing at exactly 5 minutes on the dot, right? So we're going to be watching your time. Presenting his radio broadcast, here is Connor Steenbock. Whenever you're ready, take it away.
Putin faces a huge media leak. Iceland's president is under fire, and 2 states doubled their minimum wage. We have this and more on your hourly news flash on 1027 Static FM, brought to you by the Foxy Chicken. I'm your host, Connor Steenbock. Events abroad top today's news as a media leak has Vladimir Putin under fire. Russia said Monday that President Vladimir Putin was the main target of an unprecedented media leak into the financial activity of wealthy individuals who hold accounts offshore. His spokesperson Peskov said Putin had not committed any crime and that the leak was meant to influence parliamentary elections. Another global leader may have committed a crime, though. Thousands protested at Iceland's parliament in Reykjavik on Monday, demanding that the prime minister step down after a data leak linked him to an offshore company. Several lawmakers called for a vote of no confidence. Prime Minister Gunnlaugsson denied wrongdoing and refused to resign, however. Back in the States, it was a victory for big labor and the little guy. Governors of California and New York each signed legislation Monday that will push the minimum wage in their states to $15 per hour. California Governor Jerry Brown's legislation makes his state the first to commit to raising the minimum wage to $15 by the end of 2022. In the face of this, Bernie Sanders is questioning the American status quo. Democratic presidential candidate Sanders on Monday urged supporters at a Green Bay rally to reach out to family and friends, saying he cannot win the primary without high voter turnout. At this present moment in American history, people are beginning to say the status quo is not acceptable, he said. In 1,000 different ways, we are taught to think small. We are taught to believe we can't change the status quo. That does not have to be. Sanders' speech hit on familiar themes. Coming up, a ribbon manufacturer looks to expand. The NCAA tournament closes in dramatic fashion, and the weather looks dreary. This and more after a word from our sponsors. At the Foxy Chicken, we deliver. Daily lunch specials are $5 with a drink. Tuesday, all-you-can-eat baby back ribs are just $12.99. Friday, catfish sandwich specials, and our world-famous chicken is served daily at the Foxy Chicken and Smoked Barbecue at 403 Racine Street, Menasha, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the broadcast. Here are today's top local stories. A local-based manufacturer is looking to expand, but without a local incentive package worth up to $1.5 million, a proposed expansion to Alliance Laundry Systems Ripon plant would not be possible. Stakeholders pitched Alliance a plan that would grant the company up to $1,200 for each employee it has through 2021, if the company okays a $58 million project to build corporate offices and other buildings, including a new manufacturing facility. As Alliance plans to include more employees, a local airport looks for other ways to be inclusive. Appleton International Airport will be looking especially blue this month. Abe Weber, the airport's director, said the airport will participate in Autism Awareness Month by lighting up the building's exterior in blue lights. The airport exists to support our community, Weber said. Over in the world of sports, the Villanova Wildcats topped North Carolina 77 to 74, that is, on a buzzer beater in the national championship game. One good shot deserved another. Chris Jenkins of Villanova wasn't about to be outdone. Jenkins overcame the shock of watching North Carolina's Marcus Page hit a double clutch three to tie it, but by spotting up behind the right side of the arc and draining a three on his own at that buzzer to lift Villanova to a 77-74 victory at the national championship Monday night. Before we go, here's a look at your forecast. Today, we'll reach a high of 41 degrees, but it'll be cold with a bit of afternoon snow. Tonight, we're dropping down to a low of 33 degrees with a little more snow and rain late. Wednesday, we'll hit 44 degrees and it'll be cloudy again. And on Thursday, you guessed it, it'll be cloudy with a high of 41 degrees, dipping down to 25 Thursday night. Thanks for tuning in. This has been your Hourly News Flash brought to you by the Foxy Chicken. That's all we have for this one, folks. Check in next hour. I'm Connor Steenbock on 102.7 Static FM.
That is how it's done. Nice. All right. How about that? Pretty interesting category, right? Yeah. We have two more to go. Our next category is Moments in History. Moments is another informative category, like 4-minute. However, the category is a little more restrictive in topic choice. Each year, the category committee selects an historic era, and each speech must educate the audience about some person or event from that time period. This year, they actually decided to do 2 time periods, either 1450 to 1650, or the 1940s. And each competitor got to pick one era or the other. Erik actually chose to do both time periods, as you'll see. Another interesting thing about this category is it allows you to use visual supporting materials. So you could actually set up your poster now if you want. Go for it. Erik has been Mr. Consistency for us for 3 years now. But this year, he broke all the records. His first tournament out, he won a disappointing 2nd place. But he wouldn't let that happen again. After that, he won 1st place in Moments in History 6 weeks in a row. And capped off his season by winning 3rd place in the state of Wisconsin. But perhaps Erik's biggest accomplishment was rebuilding this team single-handedly by inviting all of his friends. I've really appreciated his veteran leadership, and very happy to have him on the team again. Can't wait for next year. Senior year, we got this! All right. Presenting his speech on the evolution of the world map, here is Erik Bakken.
More Americans came into contact with maps during World War II than in any previous moment in history. By the evening of September 1st, 1939, the day that German Nazis invaded Poland, it was nearly impossible to purchase a map of Europe from the United States. When Pearl Harbor was attacked 2 years later, the demand for maps was sparked again. Washington, D.C. was nicknamed the City of Maps by Newsweek in 1942, and according to historian Susan Shelton, it was considered faux pas to be caught without your map of the Pacific during wartime. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt called upon Americans to study their maps during his fireside chats. In his words, "This war is a new kind of war. It is different from all other wars of the past, not only in methods and in weapons, but also in geography. Look at your map." During the cartographic boom of World War II, Americans began to realize that their existing notion of the world, placing Japan and the United States on opposite ends, was inaccurate, and that conflict was much closer than it seemed. Now, if each of us sat down to draw a map of the world, our pictures are likely to look relatively similar. North America on the left, Asia on the right, and the Atlantic Ocean right up the middle. But have you ever wondered who decided that north was up? The globe itself does not demand any particular coordination. What if the world we knew today oriented south towards the top of the map? It's a strange picture, isn't it? And yet early Egyptian maps depict the south as up, with the northern flow of the Nile appearing to run downhill with gravity. And early Chinese maps are oriented to the east with the rising of the sun. The map as we know it is nothing more than a geographic tradition, and is no more right than any other map. In fact, in some ways, it's wrong. It all starts with a brilliant cartographer named Gerardus Mercator and his publication of the world map, commonly known as the Mercator projection. Mercator was the first to successfully project the world onto a cylinder, cut it up the Pacific Ocean, and unfurl it into a flat atlas, using advanced mathematics later defined by Isaac Newton as calculus. Although Mercator's projection was revolutionary for its time, it created distortions that persist on our modern world map. Traveling north or south from the equator, the world is increasingly stretched, misrepresenting both size and distance. For example, India is actually larger than Greenland, but on the Mercator projection, a reversal of sizes is portrayed. Another issue with Mercator's projection is that it perpetuates biased ideas, such as Eurocentrism and imperialism that permeated the Renaissance. This cluttered and elaborate portrait of the globe psychologically suited the era of colonialism. As European societies emerged as dominant world powers, it's understandable that out of the thousands of maps developed during this time, the Mercator projection would be chosen for its centralization and enlargement of Europe, the world's second smallest continent. This bias towards Mercator's projection would go unchallenged for centuries, but new ideas would arise as a result of technology and war. Now, war has invariably driven an obsession with geography, and World War II proved to be no different. The urgency of this war, coupled with the innovation of aeronautics, fed the demand for both more maps, but more importantly, for new maps. Although most Americans came into contact with maps during this time, new cartographic methods were needed to portray actualities of distance, unlike the distortions of the Mercator projection. The innovator that would leave an indelible mark on the history of Air Age cartography was not actually a mapmaker at all, nor is he a household name. He was an artist who stumbled upon maps by chance and despised the conventions of cartographers. Richard Eads Harrison dazzled readers of Fortune magazine throughout his career with his unique perspectives on geography, shattering the existing standards of the Mercator projection with sensational maps that became instant successes. Maps such as this one, published in 1941, which centrifuged the globe and focused on the North Pole, attempted to disprove the idea of an isolated America and to encourage American international involvement. By color-coding the belligerents in World War II, orange as allied and black as Axis, including Russia, which was considered a possible Axis at this time, Harrison presented a more immediate danger of the Axis powers to Americans, a danger that quite literally surrounded the nation. Over the next few years, Harrison would go on to publish best-selling collections of his cartographic art, featuring aerial perceptions of geography that toyed with both perspective and direction. Because of his work, Harrison was finally able to break up the cartographic logjam of standards and misconceptions that had defined the map since Mercator's innovation. The history of the map and its pivotal moments illustrates our changing views of the world. by introducing a new standard, Mercator defined the future of maps, and his influence is still evident today. But Harrison, on the other hand, broke geopolitical boundaries set centuries before, and revolutionized the way we Americans see ourselves in a global context. Regardless of their differences, the two both understood that by redrawing the map of the world, they would also help to define the roles of the people who lived within it.
For our final performance tonight, Maddy Schilling will return to read her prose selection for us. Like almost everyone on the team, as I said before, Maddy is a rookie. But to say that she's also a natural would be an understatement. It is the goal of every forensicator to go straight ones. That means that you are ranked first in all 3 of your prelim rounds. When preparing for her first tournament, I tried to prep her for the kind of scores that she could expect. You know, prose is a really hard category, right? But I think we can count on getting straight 3s, and we agreed that that was a good goal for our first tournament. Let's try and go straight 3s. Her first tournament out, she went straight 1s, and then the next week she did it again, and the week after that, and the week after that. Maddy got her first ever 2 during round 3 of her 5th tournament. That is insane. That is insane. That is a team record that will never be broken. Presenting her prose selection, Blood Son, which coincidentally won her 4th place in the state of Wisconsin. Here is Maddy Schilling.
Block decided definitely Jules was crazy. They say he was born with 3 teeth and used them to fasten himself to his mother's breast, drawing blood with the milk. They say he used to cackle and bark in his crib after dark. They say he walked at 2 months and stared at the moon whenever it shone. His parents were always worried about him. They thought he was blind until the doctors told them it was just a vacuous stare. He never spoke a word until he was 5. Then, one night, coming to supper, he sat down at the dinner table and said, "Death." His parents decided that Jules couldn't have known what the word meant. But Jules did. Every parent dreams of what their child will grow up to be. But what Jules would become was far beyond his parents' wildest imaginations. For Jules was not like other children. Blood Son by Richard Matheson. Until he was 12, Jules kept pretty much out of trouble. And of course, there was that one time when they found him undressing Olive Jones in an alley, and another time when they found him dissecting a kitten on his bed. But there were many years in between, and those scandals were mostly forgotten. In general, he went through childhood merely disgusting people. One Saturday, when he was 12, Jules went to the movies. He saw Dracula. When the show was over, he walked to the library. He found Dracula on the shelves, stuck the book down his pants, left the library, and never brought it back. He went to the park and sat down and read the book through. It was late evening before he finished. He started at the beginning again, reading as he ran from streetlight to streetlight all the way home. As the days passed, he read the story over and over. Late at night, his mother used to take the book into the living room and show it to her husband. They noticed he had underlined certain passages with dark, shaky pencil lines like, "The lips were crimson with fresh blood, and the stream had trickled over his chin. He seized my neck and pressed my mouth to the wound." When his mother saw this, she threw the book down the garbage chute. In the morning, when Jules found the book missing, he screamed and twisted his mother's arm until she told him where the book was. Then he ran down to the cellar and dug through the piles of garbage until he found the book. Coffee grounds and egg yolk on his hands and wrists, he went to the park and read it again. For a month, he read the book avidly. One day, he wrote about it in school. When everyone had finished writing, the teacher asked if anyone wanted to read their composition to the class. Jules raised his hand. The teacher was surprised.
All right, pay attention, children. Jules is going to read us his composition.
Jules stood up. He was excited. The paper shook in his hands.
My Ambition by Jules Dracula. When I grow up, I want to be a vampire.
The teacher's smiling lips jerked down and out. Her eyes popped wide.
I want to live forever and get even with everybody and make all the girls vampires. I want to smell of death. That will be all, Jules. I want to stick my terrible white teeth in my victims' necks. Jules, go to your seat this instant. I want them to slide like razors in the flesh and in the veins.
The teacher jolted to her feet. Children were shivering. None of them were giggling.
And then I want to draw my teeth out and let the blood flow easy in my mouth.
The teacher grabbed his arm. Jules tore away and ran to a corner.
And drip off my tongue and run out my lips down my victims' throats. I want to drink girls' blood.
The teacher lunged for him. She dragged him out of the corner. He clawed at her, screamed all the way to the principal's office.
That's my ambition! That's my ambition!
After that, everyone watched Jules like a hawk. People avoided his touch and look. Parents pulled their children off the streets whenever he approached. Everyone whispered tales of him. Jules wandered the streets searching for something. He didn't know what. He never spoke. He stared down all the time. Then, one day in the park, Jules strode through the zoo. An electric shock passed through him when he saw the vampire bat. His eyes grew wide and his discolored teeth shone in a wide smile. From that day on, Jules went daily to the zoo and looked at the bat. He spoke to it and called it the Count. It became the one comfort in his life, the one symbol of his dreams come true. One day, Jules noticed that the bottom of the wire covering the cage had come loose. He looked around, his black eyes shifting. He didn't see anyone looking. Jules pulled the wire out and crawled up under it into the cage. It was very dark. With a look of great pleasure on his thin face, Jules drew the fluttering, hairy bat to him. He felt his heart beating hard and his limbs trembling. Jules feverishly tore off his shirt. His lips shook. He smiled a crazy smile. He reached down into his pocket and took out a little penknife. He opened it and ran a finger over the blade. It sliced through the flesh. With shaking fingers, he jabbed at his throat. He hacked. The blood ran through his fingers. Count! Count! He cried in frenzied joy. Drink my red blood! Drink me! Drink me! The blood ran across his shoulders and across his hairless chest. He started to moan. His stomach heaved. The black bat on his neck silently lapped at his blood. Jules felt his life seeping away. It was hard to breathe. He opened his mouth to gasp in the air. Suddenly, his mind was filled with terrible clarity. With a strangled cry, he reached up and tore away the furry, throbbing bat. He flung it away from him. It came back, fanning his face with its vibrating wings. Jules staggered to his feet. He managed to get the door open, then lurching into the dark yard, he fell on his face in the long grass blades. He tried to call out for help, but no sounds came from his lips. He heard the fluttering wings, then they were gone. Strong fingers lifted him gently. Through dying eyes, Jules saw the tall, dark man whose eyes shone red like rubies. "My son," the man said.
place with 3 power rounds, we have Maeve Salon and Maria Todorova. It was a tie for 4th. In 3rd place with 4 power rounds is Connor Steenbock. In 2nd place with 9 power rounds is Erik Bakken. Interestingly enough, Erik got 9 power rounds with only 8 entries. Here's how that's possible. We count state semis and finals as 2, right? Because you make the cut twice, right? But in 1st place, with 12 power rounds, it's a tie. Both Connor Quaintance and Maddy Schilling had 12 power rounds. Congratulations. Another thing that we like to praise is high entry. This goes to the student that entered the most categories throughout the course of the season. In 5th place with 4 entries is Maria Todorova and Maeve Song. It's a tie. In 4th place with 6 entries is Connor Steenbock. In 3rd place with 8 entries is Erik Bakken. In 2nd place with 11 entries is Maddy Schilling. And in 1st place, it's a new team record. Our previous team record was 18, but with 22 entries. Connor Quaintance. Another thing we like to acknowledge is High Point. That is the person that accumulates the most team points throughout the course of the season. In 5th place with 50 points is Maeve Song. In 4th place with 74 points is Connor Steenbock. In 3rd place with 100 points is Erik Bakken. In 2nd place with 151 points is Maddy Schilling. And in 1st place, notice our current team record, 228 team points. With 227 points is Connor Quaintance. In fact, for achieving both high point and high entry, we have a trophy for us. Another thing we keep track of is high average. Now, the forensics points are calculated in a really confusing way. I won't attempt to explain it, but the best you can do at any given tournament is 15 points. 15 points. So we average your total number of points to your total number of entries, and we divide it by 15. So in 4th place with an 11-point average is Annika Hendricks, who wasn't able to be here tonight. In 3rd place with a 12.33 average is Connor Steenbock. In 2nd place with a 12.5 average, it was a tie. I did the math a couple of times. Erik Bakken and Maeve Song both averaged 12.5. And in 1st place, notice the current team record of 13.8. With a 13.7 average is Maddy Schilling. Nicely done. Congratulations. And our final award is not an award that we give out every year. I've handed it out probably half a dozen times maybe in the last 11 years. But I save it for when it's warranted. And I can't begin to tell you how important I think Erik Bakken is to our team, and the fact that he won his category a record-setting 6 times, and the fact that he's back as our only veteran and is instrumental for growing the team this year. And we can always count on him to write a great speech and come in and practice, and he really is the heart and soul of the team. So I would like to award the team MVP to Erik Bakken. Woo! cookies, brownies, and family. Thank you all so very much for coming. How about another round of applause for all of our presenters? For everybody, I have some certificates. I have your National Forensics League membership cards. Yeah, I know, right? There's also a packet of season results that shows you how everybody did individually and then also by tournament. So you can peruse that for all of your numbers and see your personal best that you need to beat next year. Right? So you can keep track of that. So make sure everybody gets one of these, and thank you very much for coming. Thank you for loaning me your students every Saturday. I had a great time, and I can't wait till next season. So thanks a lot, guys.
Yay.